Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case has taken a pause for a week. It's off today. It was off as of yesterday evening. It won't be coming back for a whole week, and then it's set to conclude from a week anyway to the 27th of May. But we are getting the media spin now, and we do know, of course, that the PR team that Amber Heard did have was fired. This was actually one of the best crisis PR teams out there, and then she hired a new team, and they're running huge cope for the case. And one such article comes to us from The Independent, and I want you to be really careful when you start to read these pieces, because it's very manipulative. I know a lot of people out there won't, they will question it and they'll go, well, this is clearly not okay anyway. But let's just take a look at the piece and then at the author, because there's little breadcrumbs there to figure out whether you should believe them or not. And I think you'll find this entertaining, as entertaining as I did anyway. So this is the piece on The Independent. And this is Amber Heard's PR team running cover. It's cover and cope. Why do people blindly support Johnny Depp? I'll tell you why. Now that is a bold claim, isn't it? That's a hugely bold claim. As a barrister, I see many victims of domestic abuse being sued for defamation, for daring to speak about what their perpetrator did to them. Meanwhile, the world questions whether they're a real victim. Now, she says she's a barrister, right? She might be, sure. Charlotte Proudman. Full-time feminist revolutionary. Yeah. Right. Part-time Cambridge academic. Right. And barrister. Personal account. Those are two words which would make you a little bit concerned when trying to read someone's opinion on the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case. Feminist revolutionary. I think there's going to be a little bit of a bias there, isn't there? Just a little bit. But let's take a look. I mean, she clearly knows what she's talking about, doesn't she? She 100% knows what she's talking about. If she was scared to death, why didn't she leave? Asked everyone's favourite Hollywood heartthrob turned bad boy Johnny Depp in court. He was talking, of course, about his ex-wife Amber Heard, who he is suing for libel in the US over an article she wrote for the Washington Post in 2018. During her testimony, the actress has accused Depp of quite heinous things. Like I normally do the highlights. I couldn't do a highlight video on that, I'm afraid. I couldn't really bring myself to do it. One, because it was really disgusting stuff that she was claiming. But secondly, because YouTube would rip it apart, and you're not allowed to talk about stuff like that. But also, I just didn't want to give it the airtime. And I will say kudos to Depp's team for their objections. That Vasquez is on the ball. And Chu and Vasquez, they really chose carefully on who was going to be doing the cross-examination. Vasquez is going to obliterate. She's the woman. She's going to absolutely obliterate Amber Heard. She really is. So if Depp's phrase feels familiar, that's because it is. Survivors, families of victims and domestic abuse campaigners have worked tirelessly to stop society using such victim-blaming tropes. And yet, in one fell swoop, ladies and gentlemen, this is victim-blaming in and unto itself. This woman, Charlotte Proudman, has... This entire argument is predicated on the fact that Johnny Depp is actually the abuser. We don't know that yet. Right? We don't know. We don't know who abused who. We have evidence actually indicating that Amber abused Johnny Depp. We don't have evidence that Johnny abused Amber. There's actual no evidence at this point in time. A photo of someone's arm after they claimed they were hit in the face is not evidence. I don't know what to tell you. That's clearly not evidence of being hit in the face. Instead of asking a woman why she didn't escape abuse, ask the man why he abused her in the first place. That would be a good place to start. Again, but this entire argument is predicated on the man actually abusing the woman, and that's completely wrong. Escaping an abusive relationship is one of the most dangerous times for victims. Well, yeah, look at Johnny Depp. He lost his finger, mate. And we've got audio of Amber saying, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to hurt him. I mean, come on. That seems pretty obvious there. Now, they say this because obviously Depp lost his defamation court claim in London, but that was a complete joke anyway, because that entire case was predicated on the fact that Amber wasn't possibly looking for money. Her character was so sound that she donated it all to charity. We know now that was a complete lie. She's lied multiple times under oath. So anyway, we hear this. It is telling that Depp is dragging Heard through a second high-profile trial in the US, hoping for a better outcome. Well, no, he didn't drag Heard through the Sun trial. He drugged the Sun through the Sun trial. He is suing her for a whopping 50 million, and she's countersuing for 100. But you're not saying that, are you? This looks to me like serious financial control. But surely her countersuing for 100 million? That's not financial control? No? That's what it looks like to me. Both cases, and this is what I mean, ladies and gents, this is what you need to remember, is that the judicial system in actually both countries, and there might be a few people which are wound up by this, but it's statistically true, the judicial system in both countries is massively skewed statistically in favour of women, which is a shame when such situations like this have transpired. And that's why, anyway. But in both cases, England and the US centre on silencing Heard from speaking about the abuse she says he inflicted on her. Well, if it is defamation, she should shut up about it, shouldn't she? I see many victims of domestic abuse being sued for defamation, for daring to speak about what their perpetrator did to them. Do you categorically know that they were actually victims? Because in this instance, we don't know that yet, do we? Again, predicating. This is foregoing the conclusion of the trial in this article. The world sits in judgment, questioning whether Heard is a real victim. Does she look like a victim? Does she speak like a victim? Does she cry like a victim? The answer to all of that would be no. Just as an FYI. Where are the headlines asking if Depp is a perpetrator, judging him on every move that he makes? There was a lot, actually. And there have been for a while. But there's no getting around the fact that Amber Heard did literally shit on a bed. And, has admitted to literally hitting Johnny Depp and, calling him a baby and all these kind of things. And, I mean, there's a lot. There's been a lot of headlines. A lot. There are no special measures in court. Depp sits there smiling. No. Depp actually sits there with the demeanour of a victim. He will not look his abuser in the eyes. He has not looked at her he does not want to look at her at all. And he smiles and laughs at the things which are so absolutely ludicrous. I mean, I'm sorry to tell you this, ladies and gents, but if you've had a bottle shoved up your genitals and you thought it was broken, and you tell me that you then subsequently didn't go to the doctors, even though you thought it might be broken, I'm just not going to believe you. I'm just not. Because if you genuinely think that a bottle has shattered inside you, you would go to the doctors, no matter how embarrassed you are. There's plenty of people that will tell you, there's plenty of A&E doctors will tell you about the things that, men and women have put up their bumholes that they've been embarrassed about and gone to get, sorted out. Because if you've got actual bodily trauma, no matter how embarrassing, you go get it sorted. So I'm not going to believe you if you're telling me that you thought a bottle was shoved up you and it broke and that you didn't go get that sorted. I'm just not going to believe you. I'm sorry. Depp's lawyer is used as a pawn. Disagree. I think the only ones being pawns of this are Brederhoft and Rottenborn, Ambers. So we have this, right? The court is asked to pathologise Heard as being abnormal, mentally ill and mad. All too often, victims of domestic abuse are labelled with sexist diagnoses such as histrionic and borderline personality disorders. And no, that's because she genuinely could have that. And when you see her smirking at the camera, like I've done tweets about this, follow me on Twitter at Misstage Reviews, bit of a better website now. It does make you wonder whether she does have those things or she's a sociopath. Dr. Curry, a psychologist, suggested that Heard could have 2 personality disorders, while Dr. Hughes diagnosed her with post-traumatic stress disorder. But why isn't Depp pathologised? Where is his mental health diagnosis? Well, because he didn't want to submit to one. What's wrong with that? His mental health isn't in question here. And there's a good reason for that. After all, this is a man who explained his abusive behaviour by calling himself the monster. No, he explained his abusive behaviour. Well, he explained his self-abuse, and the monster was his alcoholism and drug abuse. That wasn't abusing anyone else. Again, what a twist this article is doing. But remember, ladies and gents, that's genuinely what you would come to expect from a full-time feminist revolutionary. And it gets better, right? Heard is due to be cross-examined by Depp's team next week. Not next week. You're such an idiot. You don't even... This is how little this woman has paid attention to the actual trial. She doesn't know when the cross-examination is taking place. Are you going to really listen to this person? I can tell you now how that will play out, because I see it every day in courtrooms. Why didn't you say no? No, I think they'll probably call her out on a lot more than that. How drunk were you? Wasn't that what's been in question the whole time about Johnny Depp? Isn't that Amber Heard's entire argument, is that he was so out of it, he couldn't possibly remember the true events? That is literally their defence. You provoked him, you're abusive, it's your fault. But isn't that the defence that they're having? Oh, I only hit him back, I was only reactive. Isn't that their defence? Yes, it is. Absolutely outrageous. You know, again, I'm not going to expect much more from someone who calls himself a full-time feminist revolutionary. I'm sorry, I'm just not. But this is... I mean, you're literally just using what they said, and you're not pulling them up on it. I mean, judge everyone by the same standards here. Come on, love. These questions blame the victim and render the perpetrator invisible. It's attacked, but that's exactly what they've just been doing. Their entire defence is predicated on that. Anyway, so when I see hashtags trending on Twitter like Amber Heard is a liar, I realise how deeply entrenched misogyny is in our society. Do you realise? And this will blow your mind, Miss Proudman. A lot of that is coming from women. Now, I know you're probably going to sit there and go, well, that's just, you know, repressed misogyny or some crap. I don't bloody know what you're going to frame it as. No, that's because women judge women very harshly, actually. And when a woman sees another woman abusing a man and being a liar, they don't take very kindly to that, because it gives them a bad name, funnily enough. It's got nothing to do with misogyny. And your framing of it is very misandrist. Very, very misandrist. A word which definitely needs more prominence in our society in this day and age. So anyway, I thought you'd enjoy this. I mean, there's not that much more. Not that much more. I mean, it's just nonsense. It is absolute nonsense. These men, we are taught, shouldn't be ruined because of our transgressions towards women, because women aren't worth it. Our patriarchal society is sustaining this and using Depp to continue the empathy towards perpetrators and the admonishment of victims. We saw it with Weinstein, Spacey, Louis C.K. and Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, basically all those people have had their careers completely ruined. Just to name a few. One of them is in prison. Depp isn't the first man to win public support despite evidence of him being a wife beater, and he won't be the last. There's evidence of Amber Heard being a man beater, but this entire thing is predicated on the fact that you don't believe that in any way, shape or form, and you're not taking that evidence into account. Absolutely disgusting. But never mind. Thought you'd appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Hit subscribe. I've just released my Doctor Strange 2 movie review. I'll leave it linked above. Please do check that out. You might enjoy it. Take care.